Hi, in this video I'd like to talk to you about my favourite method for increasing the intensity of a session. This method has it all. It will increase strength, it will increase endurance, and it will give you an amazing pump. You'll come out feeling like you've trained harder than you ever trained before. This method is called the drop set. It's super intense. It's my go-to technique when I want to break out a plateau, when I feel like a session isn't going particularly well, or just generally just to throw these sets in here and there. You will get results from them, I guarantee that, if you do them correctly. So I want to give you a couple of tips on how to get the most out of a drop set and get the results you're looking for. So the drop set, it is a very high intensity technique. So you need to use it sparingly. Too often you're going to overtrain, which is going to lead to injury, which is going to lead to no training. So I would use these towards the end of a session or a couple of times throughout the session, but at the end of an exercise. So for example, you're doing lat pull downs, you've done 3 sets, the 4th set, make that a drop set. That way your muscles are nicely warmed up, your body's ready to go, and it's a great way to finish off that movement. Now, as always, you'll need to focus on your form. Correct form is essential for reducing the risk of injury. It's essential for increasing the effectiveness of the exercise you're doing. But that being said, as a drop set progresses, you're going to get tired, it's going to hurt, your form will break down. That's just the nature of the technique. That's what's going to happen. Allow yourself that. That's fine, because as the set progresses, the weights are reducing. It's getting lighter as the muscles tire. So even though your form will break down slightly, your risk of injury is not as high as it would be if you were throwing around heavy weights and your form was breaking down. So that's acceptable. And it's not often I'll say that, because to me form is everything, he says. Okay, to summarise the drop set, the technique is basically this. You'll begin with a weight that you can get 6 to 8 reps out of before you hit failure. And I mean technical failure, easy for me to say. Technical failure is a difference between, some people perceive failure as you can't move the weight again for another rep, no matter how hard you try. For me, the correct form of failure is technical failure. When your form starts to break down, that's failure. Otherwise, you go past that point and your form breaks down, and again, you're running the risk of injury. So, a weight you can do 6 to 8 reps with before you start to fail. And as you fail, you get to the 6th, 7th, 8th rep, you can't do any more reasonably, you take 20% of the weight off, or however that works out. That's a bit of trial and error, the amount of weight you're going to reduce it by. So, for example, you'll drop it to 20% and you'll keep going. Another 6 to 8 reps, hopefully towards technical failure again. You'll reduce the weight a 3rd time, and you'll do the same again, 6 to 8 reps. Now, I wouldn't recommend, if this is a new technique to you, going beyond 3 stages in that, but you can go further. Again, just be wary of the form, and don't reduce the weight so much that you're just doing 20, 30, 40 reps. That's not going to benefit you. You'll get a great pump, but in this particular technique, you want to keep it within a certain range. The stages of the drop set. The overall reps, yeah, that can go quite high. Although, that being said, if you get to the last phase of the drop set and you find you're not failing at 6 to 8, keep going. It's fine. This is the last set. You want to pump out those reps, get the blood into the muscle, really finish off the exercise completely. Ideally, you've got a training partner with you for this technique, because that allows for a quicker drop of the weight. You can keep hold of the bar, the grip, the handles, you can keep hold of those, and your partner can drop the weight. Now there's also going to be 3 methods of doing a drop set depending on the equipment you're using or the exercise you are doing. For me, I think using a machine is, the stacked machines, I think they're ideal for drop sets. You literally, the amount of time, all you need to do is release the weight, or release the tension on the weight enough that your partner can change the pin, bring it up a couple of plates, and you can keep going. There's no downtime, because the whole idea of the drop set is you want to keep moving. You want no rest time at all, or the least amount of rest time possible. If you don't have a training partner, again, a stack's right in front of you. Generally, you can reach in, change it, grab, keep going. perfect. Now, if you come to be using barbells, things start to get a little trickier if you don't have a partner that can reduce, that can take the plates off. So you would get a barbell, you'd load it up, for example, with, if you're doing barbell curls, you'd put 3 or 4, 5 kilogram plates each side. You do your first set, first portion of the drop set, you get your 6 or 8, you've got to put the barbell down, plates off, pick it up, carry on. That's not ideal, but still works. The downtime is minimal, it's barely seconds, as long as you're careful about how you take the weights off. Another method with barbells would be to have 2 or 3 or 4 barbells lined up with progressively lighter weights, so you can do your set with one, put it down, pick it up, crack on with the next, and so on and so on. Dumbbells are probably much easier depending on how busy your gym is when you're doing your session. You can run the rack, no problem, the dumbbells are all there. Hopefully if people put the weights back correctly, they're going to be in order. So again, you grab your weight, do your set, put it down, pick up the next one and crack on. Again, you're trying to reduce the amount of time between those weights as much as possible. You want to keep moving. There's no time for resting. This isn't a set and a set and a set. This is one continuous set. You need to treat it like that. You wouldn't stop in the middle of a normal set for a rest, and you won't with a drop set. You have to keep moving. That's going to get the most out of this technique. So it combines all of it. It combines everything. Strength, endurance, and all that sexy stuff. So I'm going to demonstrate how I would approach a drop set with some different exercises based on the equipment I have available to me here at the moment. Obviously I don't have a machine with a stack, but I think you can figure out how that would work without me showing you. But I want to show you the principle of the technique, at least how intense you should go in, at what point you should move on to the lower weight, and so on and so on. So I'm going to do a session and I'm going to choose a few exercises to demonstrate this, and yeah, time to lift some weights. Oof, always doing that. Okay, I think I've got an angle that's reasonable. I was trying to show the weights, but also trying to show my technique. So what I've got here is I've got some 10s and I've got a bunch of 2 kilogram plates on each side of the stack. That gives me a bit more flexibility. If I take off some weight and it doesn't feel like it's enough of a reduction, I can take off another smaller plate. If I feel it's too much of a reduction, I can really pop them back on. Again, there's a bit of trial and error involved with a drop set. But let's give this a go, and hopefully you'll understand more what I'm talking about when I demonstrate this. So, here we go. Again, having someone there will make that transition a lot quicker. Get a squeeze at the bottom, don't forget that. Should take one plate off, I felt a bit of a reduction. Let's try for 4. Yeah, it's only 2 kilograms, so it feels like a big drop. I feel the blood getting harder to do this movement without other muscle groups trying to assist. Lactic acid build up is such a good technique. Hopefully that demonstrates the principles of a drop set more. As you can see, if you've got a stack available, it makes that dropping of the weight so much easier. It has to be a quick transition. If I had someone standing there, that tension would be on the muscles throughout the whole set. I would just hold it, they could just strip it off, and I can just keep going. I would have got less reps. And now, those muscles, the triceps, they're just full of blood now. It feels really good. It feels like I've completely hit that muscle group. So I'm going to set up another exercise now and demonstrate again with barbells. You've seen with a machine, or a cable rather. I'm going to set up some barbells and show you how that works. Okay, that was triceps. I'm going to do a quick demonstration with the barbells for a bicep curl. I've got 3 barbells here. First one I think is 27 kilos, down to 22, down to about 14, 15 kilos. That should be a reasonable increments, understand me, increments. So let's do this and I'll show you again how you work with 3 barbells for curls. So again, reasonably strict. That's not too many. I'm going to touch over here, I guess. Amazing how lightweights get heavy pretty quick with this technique. So, that's 8. So, I can carry on with that. That feels like it wasn't enough. I've got a barbell over here. I'm going to do one more rep. This barbell's 11, so it's another few kilos down from that last barbell. And I'm going to go nice and slow and steady and really finish off this drop set. Keep it as strict as you can. Now I'll stop there. I just feel this shoulder beginning to persist. I had some shoulder issues with the past. Actually, I don't want to go back to having. So, there's a quick demonstration of how you'd do a drop set with a set of barbells. I'll set up now. Unfortunately, I don't have enough dumbbells here to do a proper drop set, so I've only got enough for 2, but a drop set of 2 is fine. What you could do then actually is do a drop set of 2 dumbbells and quickly switch to a different movement, for example. So I'm going to do some flies with the dumbbells. I'll do one reasonably heavy set, drop down to a lighter weight, and then you could jump in and do some push-ups or something similar to finish off. But this is, my restrictions here are based on the equipment I've got, unfortunately, so if you're in the gym, that's not going to be a problem. You're going to have all the dumbbells you need to do this. But again, I just want to do a quick demonstration of how I would set up a drop set using dumbbells. So I'll do that now. Okay, this exercise I'm going to do with dumbbells is an incline fly. As I say, I've only got 2 sets of dumbbells here, unfortunately, but I think you understand the principle. I've got my heaviest dumbbells in my hands here, ready for the first part of the drop set. And on the floor in front of me, I have a lighter set of dumbbells. Now, depending on how this set goes, I may do more than the 6 to 8 reps I discussed. I mean, that's flexible anyway, really. You know, if you're failing at 4, although I wouldn't go more than 8, really, unless it's the very end of the drop set. If you go more than 8 reps, I think you've gone a bit too light. So, I'll do this. Again, I discussed form a lot. My form may not be perfect on this incline fly. I've had to adapt it a little bit. Again, I've had some shoulder issues over the years, so the fact I can do any flies at all, I'm pleased about. So this could look a bit strange, but you understand the principle of the drop set. This is not an incline fly demonstration. It's a drop set demonstration with dumbbells. So here we go. Someone to hand these up would be nice. So as you can see, that was 10. Probably could have gone a bit heavier. Just wary of injury. So I've got the lighter dumbbells now. Crack on. Yeah, these are light, but if you take it nice and slow, you can really increase the effectiveness. If you find you've picked up a weight that's too light, just go nice and slow and squeeze. Pause and squeeze. And all of a sudden that weight that felt like won't feel so light. Yeah. That's the job. Each part of that was probably a higher rep range than is ideal, but the intensity is still there. It's still going to be effective. Work with what you've got. If some equipment you're planning to do a drop set on is occupied, or the gym's too busy for you to run the rack or set up a bunch of barbells, use your imagination. You'll find a way to incorporate this. There. Do a drop set on the pec deck, no problem. It's even easier probably. Do your set, reach around, drop pin, carry on. Again, I do feel that machines are probably, for training alone, I find machines probably are the best method for doing a drop set if you want to keep that rest time down between changing weights. The only issue with something like a pec deck is you're locked into a certain range of motion, which as you get more tired could cause problems if it's not ideally suited to your structure. Crossovers, again, you've got 2 plates, 2 stacks to change the weights off. It just takes more time. You want to keep working. You don't want to be stopping, messing around changing weights, messing around changing plates. You want to set up in advance. The setup is so important for this. It keeps the intensity going. That's what you want it to be, intense. It's the ideal method for increasing intensity and reducing the risk of injury. I'll show you one more technique that I would use for back. Hang on, let's pause. So, there's one more, So, I'd like to show one more technique for doing a drop set. if you are strong enough to be able to do chins, even if it's just for a couple, you'll enjoy this because it's a drop set incorporating body weight. I'm sure now I've said that you can figure out what it is, but I'm going to set up and let's do this. Okay, so here's an extra technique for doing a drop set when training your back. If you can do some chins, this is great. If you're working on doing chins and you want to get stronger at doing chins, again, this is an ideal technique for increasing that strength because you're going to start with chins, your heavy step, then we're going to go straight on to pull downs, and then we're going to drop that down. So one set, whole thing's one set, but you understand. 1, 2, and then 3. Hopefully I got that weight increment right. We'll soon see. So I'm going to do some chins. No, yeah, let's just go for it. In the way. Not anymore. Okay. This. Straight in. Keep the shoulder blades nice and tight. Safely. Deep breath. Touch harder on a larger muscle group. It does become a lot more about endurance. In the pump, again, the blood is forced into the muscles. It becomes hard to do the movement towards the end because of the sheer amount of blood that's in the muscle. It's painful, the lactic acid is building up. On that last portion of the drop set, sometimes it's not you're not failing because the weight's too heavy, you're failing just because it hurts. And that's, I guess, when you can push yourself harder or not, you'll know, are you wimping out because it just hurts or because you literally can't lift it. That's for you to decide. Be honest with yourself about that. Okay, that's drop sets. Hopefully you found that useful. So to summarise, focus on form. It's still really important, but allow yourself a little bit of leeway with that as the set progresses. It's going to get hard. You are going to want to move around a little bit. You've seen the video. I'm proof of that. If you don't have a training partner, it's an ideal way of increasing that intensity. Some people like to do force reps with a training partner. I find this actually more effective. If someone's spotting you to try and get a couple more reps out, they can sometimes spot you too much and you've lost all the intensity of that set. They're making the weight too easy, you're not getting that crucial last couple of reps out that are going to stimulate the response you want. Or they can not spot you enough and you're going to get injured. This, train alone or with a partner, is a much safer, more effective way of increasing the intensity. Again, if you're training on your own, make sure you set up in advance, have everything lined up ready to go so you've got no downtime, know what you want to do, know how you're going to do it, and just blast it out. I wouldn't go more than 8 reps except for the last portion of the drop set. If you feel the weight's too light, slow it down, get the feeling, feel the muscle working. Because no point, if you think it's too light, don't stop, because that's pointless. You've come that far. You want to get some use out of the exercise, but don't just bang out 20 bad form reps, that's going to do nothing as well. Slow the weight down, control the weight, squeeze the movement muscle. The weight will feel heavy really quickly, especially towards the end of that drop set. 3 to 4 times maximum I would do this in a drop set. So heavy, you understand, 3 times 4 max within a drop set. So you're dropping the weight 4 times. And in a session, I would use this sparingly. Maybe choose 2 exercises and only do drop sets on those. Because when you get a drop set right, when you get the weight increments correct, when you get the intensity right, honestly, you won't want to do any more. Well, you might want to, because it might feel amazing, which it does. It feels you've worked. But you can verge into overtraining territory, and again, that's going to lead to injury. I'm sure I keep saying that, but injuries just don't want it. Yeah, so that's my take on drop sets. It's my go-to method for increasing intensity. There's nothing like it. Again, do them.